All right, we are now live on air. It's Dave Duford here at davidduford.com. Hope you guys are doing well today. This is another installment of our Monday weekly meeting where we talk all things final expense. Sometimes we do sales training, sometimes product training. And today we're going to have a representative from Prosperity Life come on and really walk us through how the product works, taking us through the e-app process as well as the telesales prospect as well. So if you're interested in working with Prosperity, maybe you've kind of looked at them and you're thinking about using them, this is a great opportunity to really just get more familiar with how it works. So without further ado, I am going to get Candace on the line here. Candace, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, Candace, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for the invitation and having me on today.
Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. Do you want me to switch you on to the camera, or how do you want to do? You want to do this audio only?
No, what I'll do is I'll share my screen. I've got a little presentation, and if you're just listening, of course, we're going to talk through it. So if you can't see the screen, no big deal. We're still going to talk through everything. So, but I will put a visual up just so that those joining by webinar, what actually seeing the screen can follow along as well.
Sure. So I think, do I need to share anything on my end here? Oh, you got it. Perfect.
Well, is that okay? Excellent.
Yeah, beautiful.
So if you
Perfect.
can see, then we're good to go. All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much. I know everyone is busy. It's a new year. We're kicking off 2020. We're super excited. We've got the New Vista plan, final expense plan, available in, I think, about 43 states now. We just did our final numbers from last year, wrote over 17 million for 2019, which was exceeding what our goals were. So we're excited. It's a newer product to the market. It's been available since 2018, beginning of 2018. So in 2 years, we've really, 2017, we rolled it out. So about 2.5 years. But anyway, we've really gone from zero to a lot. So we're excited about it. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give you a broad overview of who Prosperity Life Group is. It is a newer name to the space. However, we are comprised of groups of member companies. So SBLI USA, we market our final expense plan in the state of New York only under SBLI. They also offer a variety of other products available through bank channels. Not so much independent, but we actually market through banks primarily in the state of New York. So that's our SBLI company. Shenandoah Life, a lot of producers that have been out there selling for a number of years are familiar with that name. That's actually the New Vista product was written under Shenandoah Life many moons ago. So that's where that company comes from. It's still alive, and we're actually doing Medicare supplement under Shenandoah Life right now, looking to roll out some more products as we go into the next couple of years. And then SUSA is the company that you'll most recognize with the New Vista plan, because that is the marketing brand that we've used, as that's the company that had the most licenses. So that's where we decided to place our final expense product on. So just to give you an overview, I won't spend too much time boring you with all the numbers, but that's who we are. That's who Prosperity Life is. So some of the big major highlights. I like to start with these because I think this is really what engages you. Is like, why do I want to sell this product? So New Vista Final Expense, we offer 3 plan options. So there's a level, a graded, and a modified. And I'll take you through exactly what those mean here in just a moment. The big deal with these is that it pays the same commission level. No matter the age, no matter which plan you sell, you're going to get the same commission level for level, graded, and modified for all ages of the plan, 50 to 80. So to us, that's a pretty big deal. The second thing that we like to talk about is our diabetic-friendly underwriting. You'll notice on the application, and I'm not going to walk through every single question, but on the application, we do not ask about insulin usage or the age of onset of diabetes. The only question related to diabetes is under the modified section, is if they're having any complications of diabetes. They will go modified. However, a lot of your insulin dependent clients are going to qualify for that level plan. So that's a big deal. Smoker rates based on cigarette usage only. And I'm talking traditional tobacco, Marlboro cigarettes. Anything outside of that, if they're chewing or dipping or e-cigarettes, vaping, or marijuana usage, we don't look at any of that for our smoker rates. So anything outside of regular traditional tobacco cigarettes is going to go as a non-smoker rate. So that's a big deal. The other big thing that we really got right this past year was our Social Security billing. So as you guys know, getting the draft to hit the account on the proper day is such a huge plus. There's not a lot of companies that have figured this out. This is one thing we worked really hard to figure out. So if your client is receiving a Social Security benefit and they're getting paid on either the first or the third of the month or one of those second, third, or fourth Wednesdays, we will align that bill date to match up with their deposit date. So when it falls on a holiday or a weekend and Social Security Administration deposits early on the previous business day, we will take the payment early. So we just saw this happen with the bill dates for first and the third. Holidays fell, so we actually drafted a day early, which was the 31st. So that works really well. Like I said, we are available in 45 states. I think I said 42, so 45 is even better. The states are listed here that we are not available for the New Vista plan: Connecticut, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, New York. Actually, it is available, but it's called Golden Promise, so we can't, we have to kind of separate that out here. And of course, South Dakota. So the Dakota is just not doing a lot of business there, so we decided not to press in that state. Similar product, Golden Promise, as I mentioned, is available in New York through SBLI USA. Contracting is a little different. Commissions are different. New York is just a whole different animal, so we separate it out. We do offer daily commission payments. So again, if you are signed up for direct deposit, you can elect when you do your contract whether you want daily, weekly, or monthly, or if you want to go old school and have a paper check, we actually only offer that monthly. And then we have multiple options for application submission, which I'm going to talk about in more detail after we kind of walk through our product overview. Couple other things. Agent portal kind of is a one-stop shop. It lets you quote, see your commission statements, run reports. If you are a recruiter and you're recruiting new agents to work with you, under you, contracting is all done through that same agent portal. It's a pretty neat process, fully customizable. You can customize your commission levels, advanced limits, all through one easy step. Peace of mind, knowing that your client histories are products about A- AM Best rating. So we've been AM Best rated A- for the past 3 years. We're super excited about that. And we have no indication that that's going to be changing anytime soon. So that's a great selling point. Another big reason that agents love to sell our product is our 10% cashback bonus program. We started this in fourth quarter in 2018. And we ran it all the way through this year. I don't have a flyer yet, but we fully anticipate to roll this back out for 2020. I think the only change we might make is we may just change the reporting periods because, when we started with the 20th through the 19th of that particular quarter, it just got a little crazy for reporting. So I think the only change we really plan to make is just to clean up the dates, the reporting dates. But otherwise, 10% cash back, the minimum to qualify is $20,000. That must be placed business, meaning they have made that first premium, it was placed in force, and it's made it through its free look period. So it's got to stay on the books for 30 days in order for us to qualify. The great news here is that there's no maximum. So guys, you can write, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 if you want in that quarter, and we're going to pay you 10% of it. So huge benefit there that a lot of people just weren't aware of. So like I said, stay tuned. If you're already contracted or you plan to become contracted, we'll be blasting out the notification of the 2020 bonus program just as soon as we have it in writing. We just, have priorities. So lots of things going on. We'll have it coming out soon, though, I'm sure. So a couple highlights. I'm going to roll through this. You guys just make notes. If you've got questions, jot them down. And then, after we get through this really quickly, we can, address any questions that come up along the way. So issue ages of the product, it runs from 50 to 80, pretty standard. We do hopefully plan to do kind of a revised version. I'm not sure if it'll happen this year or next, but what we're looking to do is drop that down to 45 to 80, so that'll be even better. So stay tuned as we make changes. We, of course, notify the field of them. Of course, it goes all the way up to expiry age is not until 121. So, gosh, if they live that long, that's pretty amazing. But they'll, get that payout if they live that long. The accidental death benefit rider, which is optional, we do offer it, it's optional. It does expire at age 75, so I'll just notate there that if your client's 74 or older, 74 is the cutoff for sale on this. Face amounts, we can go all the way down to $1,500. I'll caveat that in the state of Washington, the required minimum there is $5,000. That's the only state that's different. So, and anything else but Washington, if you got a really low budget, we've seen many policies go for $2,000, $2,500 if they just need a little bit of coverage. We can do that all the way up to $35,000. So we do cut them off at $35,000. It's a simple issue product and it is smoker distinct. We did talk about the cigarette use only, so I'll leave it at that. There are male-female rates, and of course it's either approved or declined, based on the simple issue. We look at their RX history, so we do use a prescription drug list. So I won't cut over to that, but it's downloadable out of the agent portal. It's a PDF document, but the neat thing about that is you can just, if you're using something that's, you have a keypad on, you can search that document, just Control F and search that document for the drug that you're trying to search for instead of, having to page through page after page. It's a handy little quick tip there. Premiums are based on their issue age, not their age nearest. So what age they actually are when they make their first premium payment, or effective date, we'll call it. Their gender and the smoking class. They are fixed throughout the lifetime of the contract, and they do, of course, build some cash value. It's a whole life plan. Premium options, we do offer the option to set them up on EFT draft. And let me clarify that we can draft either checking or savings accounts as long as you tell us which it is. Our payment form does specifically ask whether it's checking or savings. We also can accept debit cards that are tied to bank accounts. So let me clarify, not prepaid cards, so not like gift cards or anything like that, but MasterCard or Visa debit cards tied to a bank account, we can absolutely accept, as well as the Direct Express card. So that's kind of a big deal. A lot of clients these days don't have bank accounts. So Direct Express is how they're getting their Social Security benefit, and we can actually set them up to draft monthly from that card. I will caveat that and just let you guys know up front, full disclosure, we do not advance on any plastic payment type. So unless they're paying by EFT, so checking or savings, routing an account number, that's the only way you're going to get an advance on this product. Everything else pay as earned. So real quick, policy fee is $40 a year. That breaks down to $3.60 per month. That policy fee is commissionable, so that's always a benefit. We do build that into our rate calculator. So when you run a quote through the website, you're going to, that's automatically built in, no additional math, as well as in our paper rate guide. So if you're just selling face-to-face and you're carrying the paper rate guide, that policy fee is already built into your rate. So again, we just try to make it easy for the math purposes. We've already talked about, we do use a height and weight table. I feel like that it is pretty generous. So it's pretty rare that we see somebody either rate up or not qualified based on their weight. And we do look at the answers to their application health questions. There's 1 page of questions. It's not too bad. The MIB history and a prescription drug check. And like I said, make sure you do check their drugs. That can change things. That can sway a category one to the other. So be careful with those. Accelerated death benefit feature, that's built in at no additional charge. We will allow up to 50% of the proceeds to be paid out early if they're diagnosed with a terminal illness. They do not offer this in California. That's the one state that does not allow that. So, but every other state's built right in, no additional charge. The accidental death benefit rider is optional, and it can be added to all 3 plans. So it doesn't matter if they only qualified for graded or modified, they can still throw in the double coverage accident rider. And it does, there's no, you can't select like how much coverage, it's just double, it's just 2 times or 1 times the face amount is the rider benefit. So let's look at the level, the graded, the modified. So as I mentioned before, all 3 plans are allowed to be issued for all the ages, so 50 to 80 on all 3 plans, no change there. You're really the only change between the level graded, the modified commission levels are the same. Everything else is the same, except, of course, the death benefit. If they should die in the first 2 years on the level plan, of course, we're going to pay out the full face amount, assuming it's a non-contestable claim, from the first day of coverage or from that first draft date. Graded plan is pretty standard. It's a 30-70. So in the first year, they qualify for 30% of the face amount. In the second year, 70% of the face amount. And then, of course, year 3, all 3 plans go full face. Modified. So I want to take a second and bring your attention to the modified plan works differently than any other carrier that I'm aware of. So our return of premium is based on their annualized premium. So what I mean by that is if they happen to pass in month 2, even in month 1 of their plan, we're going to pay out 110% of the annualized premium. So if their premium was $1,000, we're going to pay them $1,100. I'm just using a round number for just for ease of math there. And then in year 2, that actually goes up to 31% additional. So it's 231%, meaning 200% being the first 2 years premium, and then 31% kind of interest paid on top of that. And again, it doesn't matter whether they die in month 1 or month 12 or in month 13 or month 24. Again, the benefit is the same. So that's when you're looking, comparing plans, keep that in mind. That's kind of different than how other people pay those return of premiums. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details on anything else. Accelerated death benefits the same. Optional accidental death benefit rider, no change between the plans. I will notate that if they were to pass by accident and they're on a graded or modified plan, they would qualify for their full face amount. So we don't hold that against them if they die by accident. So just to kind of run through the medical questions, we use a step-down approach on our application. So if they answer yes to any of the Part A questions, these are the knockouts. So if they have a yes answer in Part A, or they're taking a knockout drug, so again, back to the drug list, it's really important to check that, or if they're outside of the limits on the height and weight table, they would not qualify for our New Vista plan. We do have another product that may be of interest, but we'll save that for another call. Part B, if they answer all no answers, they go to Part B, which is the modified, and then hopefully you'll get all no answers here. They'll move into the graded questions, all no answers. If you get all no answers all the way through the application, your client should qualify for level. So highlights on the knockouts. Again, that very first question on the application reads, has the proposed insured smoked cigarettes in the past 12 months? We don't want any additional information. We just want to know if they've smoked cigarettes. So anything outside of that, you would say no. Height and weight, again, just refer to the table, and then it goes into your knockout question. So these are things like if they've been recently hospitalized or receiving home health care, if they're confined to a wheelchair due to a disease, not an accident or something else, but due to a disease, or if they're waiting, keyword, waiting for an organ transplant. We do not ask if they've ever had an organ transplant, as long as it hasn't been in the last 30 days, because that would still be a knockout. Your client may qualify if they've had an organ transplant, so I'll highlight that. If they require human assistance with their ADL, so if they need help with their daily activities, they do not qualify for New Vista. In the past 12 months, if they've been advised to have like a diagnostic test, and they haven't done the test yet, they don't know the results yet, that is a knockout. So just be careful with those. Sometimes you may want to wait and go back in 30 days after they had the test and everything's fine. If they're using oxygen or are on kidney dialysis, those are knockouts. They do not qualify. If they have AIDS or HIV, that's a knockout. Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's or ALS, or cirrhosis of the liver stage C, those are knockouts. And then if they've had more than one occurrence of the same or different type of cancer, that is also a knockout. One type or one occurrence is not a knockout, but more than one is a knockout. So those are your basic Part A knockout questions. Then it does move into Part B, which are your modified questions. These jump around a little bit, so be careful on the look back period. So the question 1 starts in the past 2 years. Has your proposed insured been diagnosed or received treatment for alcohol or drug abuse, So that's important. If they've been in a medical facility to help them, through their addictions, they would not qualify for level. They're going to be modified if it's been in the past 2 years. Complications of diabetes, it lists out a few things, but just, assume it means any complications. Yes or no, so that's modified. And heart attack, angina, congestive heart failure, stroke, all of your major things with heart and circulatory, those are going to go modified. Then we jump to it in the past 3 years. So like I said, it jumps around a little bit. Be careful with your look backs. This is the cancer question. So in the past 3 years, if they've been treated for any type of cancer outside of the normal skin cell, the little moles we have cut off, those don't count. But anything outside of that, cancer related. So if they're still taking medications, this is where you really need to check your drug list. So let's just say they're technically cancer free, but in the last maybe 3 years, somewhere along the way, they were still taking a medication or prescribed a medication. You want to just check on those. And then in the past 2 years, back to the 2-year look back, if they've had more than one conviction for reckless driving or a DUI. So there's your driving question, motor vehicle question. So just 3 questions there. Part C goes into the graded questions, and these are ever. So this is not a 2-year, 3-year. This is have they ever been diagnosed, treated, or prescribed medication for things like Parkinson's, lupus, sickle cell, cirrhosis stage A or B, chronic hepatitis, kidney failure, or other kidney disease, COPD, emphysema, black lung, tuberculosis, and then your mental disorders like bipolar and schizophrenia, or if they've been hospitalized for any kind of mental treatment in the last 2 years, those will go graded. So I know that was quick. I advise you to just, take a look at the paper app and just kind of read through those in more detail. So without further ado, I want to kind of go through our application process because, like I said, we do offer you several different ways to take an application. So if you're selling face-to-face, so if you're a traditional field agent, you're meeting with your clients face-to-face, we have 2 options for you. We offer our Instant Decision e-application, which is our definitely our most popular. We take probably 75 to 80% of our New Vista apps via our Instant Decision e-application because nobody wants to wait for an Optical PHI. Let's face it, everybody wants to get the decision without making a phone call. So it's really taken off. But we understand that there's going to be times where you're in the field and you don't have a good solid internet connection. So that's only going to work for you if you've got a solid connection. My best advice to you is to always have a paper app on hand just in case something goes wrong. You can go kind of fall back to the traditional method. So we still take paper apps. Like I said, we're just not doing a whole lot of them. E-app is really our claim to fame here. So it is conducted through a web portal, not a mobile app. So you have to actually use the Google Chrome browser. You can do it on your tablet, iPad, as long as it's full size, or a laptop. We realize the tablets are kind of the most popular thing. Just make sure it's a good full size tablet or iPad. Make sure you download the Chrome browser. It's not going to come pre-installed if you're using an iPad. So you should make sure Google Chrome is the only supportive browser. If you use anything else, you're going to get errors. You're going to be calling us like, what's going on? That's the first question we're going to ask you. So we're going to send you credentials to log into the e-application when you receive your welcome email. So if you're not contracted yet, you won't have access to it yet, but as soon as you get your welcome email, you'll get your credentials to log in. So we'll send you the link and the credentials, so you'll have everything you need. Now, if you're previously contracted, if you've been around for a long time and you have no idea where that welcome email is, just shoot us an email. I'll give you our contact information here at the end. Call us or shoot us an email. We'll be happy to provide those credentials to you. So again, we do use Optical. They've built this beautiful point-of-sale decision software for us. So it's what they call their live app, electronic application. You'll hear us say live app sometimes. We're just referring to the Optical web portal. And let's see, I think I covered all that main stuff there. So real quickly, I realize that some of you may not be able to see the screen. So it's going to start with the rate calculator. So you're going to log in. You're going to select Prosperity. It's going to ask you for the company and then the product type. So it's going to be Prosperity SUSA, which is the actual writing company. And then it's going to have an option next to that or under that for the New Vista e-application. And that is the option that you want to select. Once you fill in your state, immediately after that, you can click next, and it's going to take you into, actually, I think that the next button is rate calculator. So it actually starts with the rate calculator. You put in your client's information, determine, hopefully ahead of time, you've already kind of asked those questions and you know which benefit they're going to apply for. So you're going to select the level, the graded, the modified, and then you'll hit calculate. It's going to give you the premium options. And then you're going to hit done to move into the actual e-application itself. So here's just a screenshot of the overview. So again, Prosperity Life SUSA, New Vista e-app, and then select your state, and then rate calculator, and then you're going to run that quote. It does, I will say this, under the application menu, you can actually just access the rate calculator. So if you just want to log in and do rates from here, you can do it here or through the agent portal. The agent portal is really super mobile friendly, so I'll always advise you to just keep, stay logged in and keep that pulled up because it's got a really handy quoting tool. And you can download like a quote and print it out if you want to. So it's going to move into the Gogreen program, which allows your customer to utilize our customer portal to log in and actually get their documents delivered via e-delivery, which is nice because they end up getting them faster that way. And if they've got to provide copies to their beneficiaries, they can just stay, assuming you've got a good, mobile, tech-friendly client, they can download a copy of their policy and then just email it to their beneficiaries without having to request them in paper. Totally optional. They can say yes or no to this. They don't have to do it. It's 100% optional. You're going to fill in their basic information, so name, address, phone number. You'll need to know what state they were born in. And the other things I'll note here is that they must be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident with a green card, and they must have a social security number. So I know some other companies are taking the I-10 numbers. Unfortunately, we don't take those. They have to have a social, and they must be a citizen or have that green card. So the first thing that they're going to e-sign, and the signature process uses not DocuSign, but it's very much like DocuSign if you've ever used it before. It's called HelloSign. Works exactly the same way. So they'll have to e-sign that HIPAA disclosure first, or HIPAA authorization, so that we are allowed to pull their medical history. So that's the first signature that you'll collect from them. So they'll just you'll click the sign button. You'll see a big blue button that says Get Started, and it's going to allow them to just insert a signature that's pre-printed, or they can draw it in, like with their finger or a mouse on a laptop. However you want to do it, they can do it any way they want. And then if they, of course, just click the I agree, and then you hit the next button and you move forward. It's going to take you right into the health questions at that point. So again, these health questions are going to display on your screen. The idea is that you need to read these to your client and obtain their answers. So this is where Optical, the interviewer, goes away, and the agent becomes the interviewer. You're obtaining, their legal answers to these questions. So you want to make sure that you ask them very clearly, word for word, read them aloud, and collect that yes or no answer. Now, I will tell you, on the first section, the Part A questions, these are knockout questions. So if you accidentally hit no, or I'm sorry, you accidentally hit yes, and then hit the next button, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you, hey, sorry, your client doesn't qualify because this is the knockout question. So, just slow down. Everybody kind of gets in a hurry, and we can make mistakes. I don't want you to have to start over. Just make sure you're selecting the appropriate answers to the questions. So once you get through A, B, and C, you will obtain your decision by clicking OK. It's going to say by clicking OK, Pure Service will begin. Pure Service is just the underwriting tool that's actually obtaining the data that's feeding into the decision piece. So it's going to begin. After you click OK, you can't go back and change any answers. So once you click this button, you need to review and make sure that you answered everything appropriately. So once you click OK, it says it'll take 1 to 2 minutes to complete. Usually it's much quicker than that, assuming you've got a good, steady internet connection, and you're going to be provided the decision. So it'll generally say, the following pertains to the data results of the case. The proposed insured is eligible for the level plan. Now, if it doesn't say that, please make note. It means that something else happened. Sometimes at this point, you may get re-asked a question. So let's say that it's a congestive, one of the heart questions, and they happen to be taking a blood thinner. Well, some of our blood thinners are considered maintenance drugs. So that's why it's going to re-ask that question, is because it could be a dual purpose. It could be like a drug that may treat, high blood pressure, which we don't ask about, as well as heart condition. So again, if you get a re-ask, just make sure to reread that question, obtain the correct answer. It's not a big deal. It just means that there's a dual purpose medication involved. So if a decision is not able to be rendered, you will also be notified. Now, I'll say this happens maybe 4 to 5% of the time. It's not often, but sometimes Optical cannot make a decision because it just indicates that an answer to the health question is not jiving with information received in script check or MIB. So it just means that there is some discrepancy in there somewhere that Optical, the software cannot get through by itself. So what will happen then is your application will get sent to our underwriting department. It's going to take another, couple extra days, but you'll be notified from underwriting what's required in order to process that application. So they're going to let you know, but be patient if you get that response. We don't know yet. It's got to get into our systems and then go to underwriting, and then they will reach out to you and they'll let you know what they need. So, but like I said, most of the time it doesn't happen. Usually you get your decision, but just be aware it can happen. So once everything's loaded in there, everybody's happy with it. It's just going to go through and have you confirm the policy amounts. Now, if you got another decision, so let's just say that they applied for a level, but they were only offered the graded or modified based on some information they found. The e-app will let you go in and actually recalculate. So it'll take you back to the rate calculator, and then you'll need to select the graded or the modified plan, whatever they were approved for, and then hit next. And it's going to, of course, recalculate that premium amount. It's going to go up and let you adjust the face amount if you need to meet the budget. So all that can be done in one step without an amendment, which is really, really nice. Again, the processing back end part of this was designed really well to help cut down on the unnecessary back and forth. So again, just make sure you confirm the benefit amount and select yes if you're ready to continue. From here, it's going to let you enter in their beneficiary information. It's going to let you enter up to 3 primary beneficiaries and up to 3 contingents. So just make sure that those percentages work out to 100%. Review your premium and enter your payment information. This is where it's going to ask a whole bunch of questions about when they're paying and how they're paying. It's going to collect all that billing data from this form, so just be slow and methodical. The number one reason for rejected EFT payments or credit card payments is the agent mistyped it into the application. It's the number one reason. So it's generally human error. This is the part, slow and methodical, check and double check. Hopefully you're looking at a copy of their actual checkbook so that they're not giving you the bad information. But that's usually where the billing issues lie, is that we just got the wrong information. So a couple notes, future payments. So if they're not going to pay immediately, which usually they don't want to do that, they want to set it up on a particular day of the month, which is okay. We do allow you to go out 35 days, a maximum of 35 days. So that should give you enough time, like if it just happens to be the 27th of the month and they want to pay on the 1st of the following month, that's okay. We try to give you enough time to meet their particular date. First draft can be anywhere between the 1st and the 28th, or recurring drafts, I should say, anywhere between the 1st and the 28th. We do not bill recurring on 29th, 30th, 31st for obvious reasons. Or we can align that check date to their Social Security deposit date. And again, you'll just want to select yes, they're receiving a Social Security benefit, yes to Social Security billing, and then of course we'll do the math and we'll line it up. If they're on a Wednesday bill date, you guys probably know this already, but if they're on a Wednesday bill date, you don't select whether they want second, third, or fourth Wednesday. That is driven by their date of birth. So our form is going to ask you, if it's a Wednesday bill date, what their date of birth is, because that's how we figure it out. And that's going to be the recipient. So whoever is, receiving that benefit. So again, if you've got a separate payor involved, just make sure you know who you're talking about. And of course, if you have any questions, just call us and we'll walk you through it. I think I've already covered, we can do checking or savings accounts via EFT, debit cards tied to bank accounts, or the Direct Express MasterCard. And again, I'd always like to reiterate, just double check the numbers so that we don't have rejections. So at this point, you're almost done. This is your agent certification. You just want to make sure that you filled in all of the information to the best of your knowledge, that there are no replacements involved, or if they are, you've provided Prosperity all the information to do that replacement. We do allow those through the e-app. Your agent information is going to pre-fill, but sometimes agents get a different contract and they get a different writing number, so your last name might change, your phone number might change, your email might change. Please double check this information and make sure it's correct and up to date. And then last but not least, if you have any additional comments, let's say client wants to add 12 additional beneficiaries, put those comments in this last little box here. It'll go to new business, it'll flag them to do additional follow-up, and that way we make sure that we have everything perfect on your application the first time through. Final signatures will prompt here. You'll want to just make sure that they sign as requested. Like I said, you can just click the box that says sign all, and it'll populate all the signatures. It's going to tell you whose signatures are coming up, so you'll have to sign, of course, as the agent, as well as the client will have to sign. So just follow the prompts, but you'll find that it's very easy to use. And last but not least, you have to click the finish button to actually submit that application request to us. If you close out and don't hit this finish button, we're not going to get your application. So very important, click that finish button. That lets us know that you're ready for us to process that application. So we will actually, Prosperity will get that application the next business day. It doesn't come to us immediately. It goes in an overnight cycle. So if you're like, oh, I don't see this in my agent portal yet, well, that's because we haven't had time to put it there. So give us 2 business days. 2 business days, you'll see that appear in your agent portal. And of course, if anything just doesn't look right, or you're like, wait, where is this one? Oh, let me back up, because the next business day, once Prosperity gets it, we're going to send you an email that night letting you know that we've received your application and that it's processing. So you actually will know even before you can see it in your portal. And the other great thing is any updates to that case, we'll send you an email summary of. So we tell you everything. If the banking rejects, if we had to send them a lapse notification, we will send you an email. So the great news is for the telesales process, it works almost identically. So same portal login, same information. The only difference is you're going to select New Vista Voice instead of New Vista e-app. So that's the main difference. All of the screens look exactly the same. So if you've done one process, you can do both almost seamlessly. The only major difference on the voice process or the telesales process is you cannot replace. At this time, I'll caveat that. We are looking to add replacement capabilities this year, so it's on our to-do list. But as of today, no replacements if it's a voice signature. Other major difference, disclosures. So disclosures have to be provided at the point of sale, right? So one way or another, if you're doing an e-app and you're standing there with them, they get to look at those disclosure documents on your screen, on your tablet screen. So they receive those at the point of sale. Over the phone, you have 2 options. You can download and email the disclosures to the applicant if they have an email address. But if they don't, they will have to listen to the recorded playbacks. So it has to be delivered at the point of sale one way or another, but we do give you some options. So again, I'm just going to flip through the screens here. It all looks the same. You fill in their basic information. You confirm the benefit amount that they're applying for, all their billing information. I think you even collect beneficiary beforehand. And then once you hit submit, you're going to get some instructions that are going to tell you what number to call. So you're going to dial into Optical. You're going to give them the application ID number that's generated, and it's going to populate on your screen. It'll be right there in front of you. So you and the client on the phone, 3-way call to Optical, and then they pretty much take over from there. They'll start with a few like upfront questions about, did you meet with your agent in person? Just kind of standard questions. They'll confirm spelling of the name and basic information. And then they'll go into the health questions. But same concept, they're going to ask the questions, record the answers. They're going to reach out to MIB and script check, obtain the decision, and then they're going to provide that decision at the point of sale on the phone. Or if they got a different decision, if we can only offer graded or modified, of course, they'll come back and say, hey, unfortunately, you qualify for graded. Here's what your new premium amount will be for the same face amount. Is that okay? Do you want to change it? They can lower the face amount at the point of sale if necessary. So just be advised that, they can really do everything on that same phone call, so you don't have to go back and forth with amendments and things like that. Let's see here. So basically at the end of the phone call, you're going to hang up. This is the beauty of, using the electronic methods. So when you conclude that phone call or you finish that e-application, you don't need to send anything to Prosperity Life. Everything is done electronically from Optical. So Optical then creates this PDF package of the actual application that you've just taken, and they send it to us in an overnight feed. So you don't have to email new business, you don't have to fax anything. Everything's collected at the point of sale. And those are the highlights. I know I rushed through everything, so hopefully everybody was able to, see everything and hear everything okay. I'm going to put up our agent support number. It's 866-380-6413. Again, that's 866-380-6413. Our email address is agentcare, no punctuation, just agentcare@prosperitylife.com. If you guys need anything at all, that's the best way to contact us. And of course, if you guys have any questions or anything, David, if you want to open it up for that, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for your time. Excellent presentation. Covered tons of stuff I didn't even was aware of. So
thank you.
So I got 4 questions now, guys. If you're watching this, listening to this, type in your question into the chat if you'd like. I've got a bunch of questions too, so I'll get to those after. So let's see. Jonathan Barnett says, I had a client whose Wednesday bill date was different because her benefits were based on the husband that passed away. How would we handle that?
So good question. That does come up sometimes because, again, it's going to look at I believe it's the payor's date of birth. So it's whomever, or let me not say that backwards. One sec. Let me look at the application.
Sure.
I tell you what, if you want to move on to the next one, I just want to make sure I tell you the correct thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll come right back to it.
That's fine. So next question, Scott Bradley says, can this be set up on an iPad?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. iPad's fine.
We just have to use a Google Chrome browser, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
So yes, iPad's fine. John, whoops, hold on one second.
I stopped sharing, so that may be
okay. Yeah.
the little notification.
No worries.
Sorry.
Next question here from John. I just got contracted as a just-in-time agent. Can I use eApp for the first application I take?
Yes, absolutely. We encourage it.
So do you guys do just-in-time contracting? So, or do you have to wait to get a writing?
We do. No, so you get your writing number as soon as we receive your contract request. The piece that we don't do, and this is really important to understand. So just-in-time is most states. There's, I think, 5 states that don't follow just-in-time appointments.
Right.
But majority of states are just-in-time. So when you send your contract request, the beauty of this is within usually 24 hours, you have a writing number, a welcome email and a writing number and instructions to access the Optical eApp and everything that we offer. But what happens is after that first application, doesn't matter how we get it, you can do it any way you want, but just understand that instead of us processing in about 3 business days, it's going to take us just over a week because we have to wait on your background check. We have to make sure that we can actually, sign your contract and allow you to be contracted. We have to wait on the state to appoint you. And most states are same day or next day. It's not usually long, but every now and then a particular state might get backed up and we may not get an appointment for 3 days. And that's kind of out of our control. Now, the beauty is after that first application in that particular state, it's all pretty seamless. But that first one, do expect it will take, an extra week and sometimes like 7 business days to get your first commission payment, just because it's either we process on the front end and we do the full contracting and appointment, phase up front, which would take longer to get the writing number, take longer to get started, or, at some point it has to happen. So
great. Thank you.
Good question. Mm-hmm.
Scott asked, where can we get this PowerPoint? Can you link us or send me a link so I can share with the PowerPoint?
I can send you the PowerPoint itself. It's also available on the agent portal. So the same exact presentation is downloadable. If you're already contracted, just go into your portal, click on resources, and right at the top of the list, probably toward the bottom of the list, it'll say New Vista agent training. And that's exactly the presentation that I just showed you.
Yeah, if you don't mind emailing that to me, and then I'll share it into the group me community we have.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Be
very
happy
much.
to.
Michael Morgan asks, confused, is the bipolar mental health question ever or the past 2 years? I think it's hospitalization in the past 2 years. That's
It's hospitalization in the past 2 years. So it's if they've ever been diagnosed with bipolar or schizophrenia, and that's the only two specific conditions that we ask about, or if they've been hospitalized in the last 2 years for any, even if it's just depression. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the clarification on that.
So bipolar, schizophrenia, that is not eligible for level, in other words.
Correct. Those are, they'll go graded.
What about like PTSD? Like, where do you
No,
fit
don't
that?
ask about it.
Don't ask.
I mean, only if they've been hospitalized in the
Yeah.
past 2 years, then it's great. But otherwise, no, we don't ask about it.
Okay. Hey, Raina, yeah, it's being recorded. I'm going to post this. Can I post this on my YouTube channel? You all right with that, Candace?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great.
Go for it.
William asked, I contracted 2 weeks ago. Should I have a writing number? Yes. Email me a reminder. I'll follow up on it. So there may be something outstanding that we need to complete.
If we need to look at anybody's contracts, just let me know. I can pull it up in seconds and tell you what we needed or what's holding it up, you know, XYZ.
Right. Okay, a couple of things here I want to ask you. So I have gotten word on the street from agents that have claimed they have been able to get clients qualified who have had no changes in diabetic neuropathy treatment 2 years and beyond for level coverage.
Yep, I've heard that too.
Is that?
I've heard that too.
Okay.
So let me just caveat. Yes, sometimes those will get through as level. It is in the best interest of your client to make sure if they have neuropathy that they mark that question yes, because you could be looking at a contestable claim situation if they don't answer it the correct way.
Gotcha.
Do I anticipate that's going to happen? No. However, I think you need to do what's in the best interest of your client, which is be fully disclose any conditions.
Great. Thanks for that clarification. The 10% bonus, is that immune, or does that avoid chargebacks? Is that a cash bonus?
It doesn't. It is a cash bonus. However, if you have a debit balance, we're going to apply the bonus to the debit balance before we pay you any additional dollars.
Okay.
And that's just the way commissions work in general. You know, we don't calculate it on per policy. It just goes into a debit balance bucket. So your next incoming commissions are going to cover any outstanding debit balance first, and then pay you the remainder.
I didn't see any information on a convention trip. Do you just do the bonus instead? Is that kind of how you?
Just the cash bonus instead. Yeah, at least going through 2020. That's the plan. Now 2021 comes, we might go a different way.
Yeah. No, I think the argument here is if you write $100,000 and get a $10,000 bonus, you can have a pretty sweet.
Exactly. You buy your own trip and go anywhere you want.
So,
I did pull up our payment form just to go back to that question. Real quick. So it's based on the account holders information. So date of birth of the account holder. So if it's the husband or wife or separate, payor, it's going to look at who the account holder is for that date of birth, particular Wednesday.
And you mentioned there at the end that when you submit an e-app, you'll have writing numbers and contact information show up. If it is wrong or needs to be updated, can that be done on that page?
Yes, absolutely. It does let you edit those fields before proceeding. And also, if you see that it's wrong, send us an email so that we can correct it in the Optical system so you don't have to keep correcting it every time. We can do it on the back end. Okay.
And does the client have to have an email to complete an e-app with Prosperity?
No, absolutely not. They don't have to. It does ask for it. If they have it, you want to obtain it, that's great. But if you can, it's an optional field. You can move right through it if they don't have it.
And I had missed as well, does the e-app require a driver's license or an ID?
It does. Actually, let me take that back. It's not a required field. If they have it, we want to collect it.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Let me think real quick.
That's fine.
There's so many details.
Sure.
They must be a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. Okay, that's a knockout. If they're not, but the driver's license capture field or the ID capture is, as of today, it's optional. I'll share with you that going forward, we are looking to build this into the application to collect a picture to allow you to actually take a picture of the ID. And the reason
Right.
for that is we do run a LexisNexis identity check. So if at any point in time you miskey their name, social security number, or date of birth, it's going to give you a little note that'll pop up and say, we could not validate the client's identity. And okay, great. It's going to let you proceed through that application and submit it, no problem. But new business is going to send you an email saying, if you don't send us a copy of their social security card, driver's license, whatever they need, they can't process it.
Right.
So we're trying to build it in to where we just collect it up front. That way
Right.
we don't have this back and forth thing happen.
Sure, sure. So, and then to clarify, organ transplants are okay if it's been beyond a certain period of time?
Yes. However, there are a couple drugs on the list, and I don't know them off the top of
Right.
my head, that will still pop up as a knockout. But certain transplants are totally fine as long as it's been more than 30 days since their surgery. Just check the drug list.
Sure. A question from John. He says, is the ID capture required with the Optical phone app?
So if we're referring to the Optical mobile app,
right.
Which sounds like that's what we're referring to, we've actually made a business decision to take that down for the time being. We're actually not offering applications to be submitted via Optical mobile, or that live app air is what the whole app was called. However, as we move forward and we look to capture the copy of the ID, yes, it will be captured through that Optical mobile app, and then basically populated in conjunction with the e-application. The end goal, and I'll just share with you guys, the end goal is to have everything function through a mobile app that's just a downloadable app, and you just do everything, you know, on a mobile device that would work on a cell phone or an iPad.
Right.
You know, that's the end game. It's just somehow they haven't figured out how to connect the instant decision piece to it. And that's really our like Q1. That's what I'm pushing hard for, is to get all that into one nice mobile friendly. You can do it on a smartphone, you can do it on a tablet, whatever you want kind of app. But right now we're trying to use the two separate things in conjunction
Sure.
with one another.
Scott asks, what if someone has a social security number and a driver's license and says they are a U.S. citizen, but later not, and they find out at death that they're not a citizen? Is that a concern at all?
I mean, they either are or they're not at the time of application. And if they've got a driver's license and a social, I would think they would be. I guess just answer the questions to the best of the ability. They must be a U.S. citizen or have a green card, have a legal permanent resident card. And if not, they just don't qualify.
I can't speak for Prosperity Group, but I've never seen this become an issue. Most
exactly. Me neither.
Most insurance companies just process the death claim accordingly to whether or not it's contestable, and don't have the time or resources to go hunt down, you know, issues.
Exactly.
Unless it's in the 2 years.
Yes, exactly. I would think that'd be a very random, and I would almost want to defer to our claims department to answer that properly. I get myself in trouble when I think I might know something.
Right. So Willie asked, is the LexisNexis data used for anything other than verification of identity?
No, it's not. It's only used to confirm identity. And I'll tell you, the only pieces of identity information that we look at are name, first, last name, date of birth, and social. So if their address has changed and they got that wrong, you know, we don't hold that against anybody. It's just name, date of birth, social.
So I just wanted to add some kind of comments on the overall process that Candace has described here that I think are worth mentioning. So first of all, I don't know if you've noticed it, but when you do the e-app, you don't have to put in the entire application, payment, beneficiaries before you get a decision. So it's nice to have that way to simply start an application to see if it's going to be approved and then continue the rest of it on. So it's a nice time saver. And then to clarify again, you guys get an instant decision approximately 95, 96% of the time at the submission of the application. And that return of premium based off of the annual premium is pretty unique. Most of the time, what happens with most companies is the premiums return plus 10% interest based on the number of premiums paid in. In this case, it's a function of what that annualized premium would be, regardless of when it actually, when the person dies and how many premiums they paid in. So it does offer a pretty unique advantage. And I think it could be a possible sales tool to utilize the accidental death benefit. That's usually not something that's offered readily with modified or graded plans, but you may make the sale a little bit more easily when you can say, hey, I can get you double indemnity coverage, you know, and then once 2 years are up, you're fully covered, or some kind of sales strategy like that. So I wanted to throw that out there too as well. Is there any last questions? Now's the time for any last questions. We're wrapping up the hour here. I think we've gotten a great overview on Prosperity. I will say this, if you're an agent of mine, you're watching this and you haven't picked up Prosperity, please do. They're a great company, as you can see. They fit a lot of different niches and they're super simple to use. And you get an instant decision at the end of the call or at the end of the e-app submission, so they're worth it. And last but not least, if you're watching this, you're interested in contracting with Prosperity, just reach out to me. Give me a call. You can email me at daviddufour.com/contact, and then I can help you there too. So Candace, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. See ya.